Hi, and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about some best practices to keep in mind when writing your Java code. The first thing you want to make sure is that you use the appropriate variable type. So for example, if your variable is going to be using money, you would want to use a double for that variable type, because very rarely is money going to be a whole number. If it's a name or letters, you know that it has to be a string, and if it's going to be a whole number, you would use an int. We did also learn about a char variable, but we will not be using that till later in Unit 2. Use the variable in the print lines and the print statements when you're printing it out. Do not use the value, but actually use the variable name. And do not complete math calculations in a print line or a print statement. It tends to not work correctly, and it's much easier to find your mistakes or issues if you've done your math calculations to a variable. So as you can see in my example, I have a variable called discount, and it's going to be equal to the price times 0.20. I don't want to do this calculation in my print or print line because it could get messed up. The next thing we're going to talk about is declaring, initializing, and printing our double variable. At this time, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to get into your Eclipse file that was lesson 2 practice, the one that we made the other day. So go ahead, pause the video, and open that up. Once you have it open, reopen the video, and we're going to discuss how we're going to write this information in. Okay, I am in my lesson from yesterday. The first thing I want to do in here is I'm going to just go ahead and delete this. You can leave yours in if you want to, but we're going to declare a double variable. And you can notice I'm putting this in as comment code. So I'm going to say double, and it's always going to be lowercase, and you can tell if it's correct because it'll change to a different color. That's telling me that that's a keyword. Okay, and we're going to say money, and we're going to say it's equal to $100.50. And I always end my line of code with a semicolon. Now, if I want to print that out, I'm going to go system.out.println, and I'm going to say money in here. And I'm using the variable names, so I don't have to do it in quotes. I don't have to do anything different to it. It'll automatically print it out. If I run this, it's going to print out my 100.5 right there. Okay. What I don't want to do is I don't want to do it like this. I don't want to go system.out.println 100.5. It will work, but that is not the best way to program. So don't do it this way. Always use your variable name when you want to print out, and always assign a value to a variable. Okay, we're going to move on. So I'm going to take you back into the PowerPoint. And the next variable we're going to add on is we're going to add an integer one. And we're going to say age. You can put your age in if you want, or you can use the age that I have here, but we're going to do it the same way. We're going to declare int age equals and the value. And I just realized that there's not a semicolon on there. So make sure you have a semicolon after that. Okay, so I'm going to go in, and I'm going to add on int age equals 17 with a semicolon. Now I want to print that out. So I'm going to say system.out.println. And in here I'm going to put age because that's the name of the variable. This variable is storing the age 17. I'm going to go up here and say run. And again, it's going to print out 100.5 and 17 because it's still going to print out this line above it and then that one. The last variable type that we're going to look at is a string variable. And I'm going to have a variable called city, and it's going to be equal to Minneapolis. Notice my string is a capital S. Okay, double and int were lowercase, string is always going to be capitalized. So I'm going to go back into my system. I'm going to say string with a capital S, city equals, and when I do a string variable, it has to be inside quotes. If you notice when I did my numbers, they did not have to be inside of quotes. String variables always have to be inside of quotes, and I'm going to have a semicolon at the end. Okay, now when I want to print it, I'm going to say system.out.println, and because I'm using the variable name, it does not get put inside of quotes. I just use the variable name, and if I run this, it'll print out 100.5, 17, and Minneapolis, and you can see it's right down here, and my council. Okay, the last thing I'm going to tell you to do is get in and practice with it a little bit. Create a variable that stores the value of two numbers added together. So take a number like total and add 10 plus 7 and then print out total. Remember to answer your daily check-in and attendance questions so we can mark you as being here for class. And if you have any questions, make sure you post them on the chat site on Moodle. Thanks.